You might think racism is a thing of the past, something buried in history books or documentaries. But the truth is, it's still alive, and in some places, it's as present as ever. My name is Mitch from Explorera, and in this video, we're exposing the cities across America where racism isn't just a shadow of the past, it's woven into the fabric of everyday life. These aren't just places where history went wrong. These are places where racism still shapes where people live, how they're treated, and whether they feel safe in their own neighborhoods. To understand which cities make this list, we didn't rely on opinions or social media rumors. We looked at the data. That includes official hate crime statistics from the FBI and the Department of Justice. We also used reports from civil rights groups that track incidents most people never hear about. Cases buried in local headlines or ignored entirely. We examine historical records that show long-standing patterns of discrimination and recent news coverage that proves these issues haven't gone away. Each city was evaluated based on three key things: how often hate crimes occur, how deep the city's history of racism goes, and whether there are ongoing incidents that show racism is still a real threat today. If you care about justice, about fairness, or even just knowing what kind of country you're really living in, stick around. Like the video, share it with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe for more breakdowns that don't hold back. Also, have you experienced racism where you live? Drop your story in the comments. Now, let's get into it. Number 15. Springfield, Missouri. Springfield, Missouri sits in the Ozarks and is often thought of as a quiet, middle American city. But behind its friendly small-town image is a history of deep racial trauma. According to FBI and DOJ data, Missouri recorded its highest number of hate crimes in 2021, and Springfield played a role in that increase. Incidents include everything from verbal harassment to physical threats and property damage. The city's police department has made data public, but critics argue that transparency doesn't always translate into action. In recent years, Springfield has faced challenges related to hate crimes and the presence of white supremacist groups. In 2024, the city reported multiple hate crime incidents, including intimidation and assaults targeting Black, LGBTQ, and other minority communities. Notably, white nationalist propaganda appeared across the city, with stickers promoting racist ideologies found in public spaces. Number 14. Waterloo, Iowa. Waterloo, Iowa has a complicated and painful history when it comes to race. In the early 1900s, black workers were brought into the city to break strikes on the railroads and at meatpacking plants. These workers were often forced into segregated neighborhoods, and that division set the tone for decades of racial inequality. Redlining, unequal schooling, and job discrimination followed, and while some of the laws have changed, the impact is still visible today. In 2018, Waterloo was ranked the worst city in America for Black Americans, based on income levels, unemployment rates, and educational gaps. The numbers weren't just bad, they were staggering. Black residents in Waterloo were far more likely to be unemployed, underpaid, or living in poverty than their white neighbors. In recent years, hate crimes have increased in Waterloo. In 2024, white supremacist groups distributed recruitment materials in the city, promoting intolerance and creating an environment where community members feel unsafe and unwelcome. The Department of Justice has recorded hate crimes in the area, and local reports have documented everything from racist graffiti to acts of physical intimidation. Community leaders have acknowledged the need for change, but progress has been slow and inconsistent. Now, real quick, before we move to number 13, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss a new video from us. And also, make sure to hit that like button. Number 13, San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio, Texas is often praised for its cultural diversity and rich history. However, beneath this vibrant facade lies a city grappling with persistent racial disparities and systemic inequities. In 2020, the San Antonio City Council took a significant step by declaring racism a public health crisis. This resolution acknowledged the deep-rooted issues affecting Black, Indigenous, and Hispanic/Latino communities, including disparities in socioeconomic status, health outcomes, and access to essential services. Despite this initiative, incidents highlighting ongoing racial tensions continue to surface. In January 2025, during the opening reception of Non-Monoliths, an African-American art exhibit in San Antonio, A local artist caused a disturbance by yelling racial slurs and throwing wine at paintings. Furthermore, hate crimes remain a pressing concern in Texas. In 2023, the state reported 521 hate crimes, with 287 motivated by race, ethnicity, or ancestry. Number 12. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Minneapolis, Minnesota has long been at the center of national conversations about race and policing. The 2020 murder of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer ignited global protests and brought intense scrutiny to the city's law enforcement practices. In response, the U.S. Department of Justice conducted a comprehensive investigation, releasing a report in June 2023 that found the Minneapolis Police Department had engaged in a pattern of excessive force and racial discrimination. The report highlighted that Black and Native American residents were disproportionately subjected to searches and stops, and that officers frequently used unjustified deadly force. In January 2025, the Minneapolis City Council approved a consent decree with the federal government to overhaul police training and use of force policies. This agreement mandates that officers prioritize the sanctity of human life and prohibits decisions based on race, gender, or ethnicity. An independent monitor will oversee the implementation of these reforms, aiming to rebuild trust between law enforcement and the community. Despite these efforts, incidents of racial violence persist. In October 2024, Davis Maturi, a black man, was shot by his white neighbor after enduring months of racist harassment. Maturi and his wife had reported the threats to authorities at least 19 times since 2023, but no action was taken until after the shooting. The Minneapolis police chief publicly acknowledged the department's failure in this case. Number 11. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio has a long history of racial tension and systemic inequality. In 2014, the city gained national attention when 12-year-old Tamir Rice, a black child, was fatally shot by a police officer while playing with a toy gun. This incident highlighted deep-seated issues within the city's law enforcement and sparked widespread protests demanding justice and reform. In 2020, Ohio experienced a significant increase in reported hate crimes, with incidents rising by 55% from the previous year. The number of reported hate crimes increased from 346 in 2019 to 538 in 2020, marking the highest total in 2 decades. Notably, anti-black hate crimes saw a 70% increase, rising from 71 incidents in 2019 to 121 in 2020. Cleveland has also been a focal point for white supremacist activities. In 2022, Ohio ranked 3rd among all states for documented white supremacist events and gatherings. The Anti-Defamation League reported 185 incidents related to white supremacist groups in Ohio that year, with more than 20 documented incidents occurring in Cleveland and its surrounding suburbs. Number 10. Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey has a deep-rooted history of racial tension and systemic inequality. In July 1967, the city became a focal point of civil unrest when the arrest and beating of a black cab driver by white police officers sparked 5 days of riots. The violence resulted in 26 deaths, over 700 injuries, and more than 1,400 arrests, with significant property damage estimated at $10 million, 0 cents. Decades later, Newark continues to grapple with issues of racial bias and discrimination. In 2023, New Jersey reported a 22% increase in bias incidents compared to the previous year. Notably, anti-black bias accounted for 34% of all reported cases, making it the most common motivation for such incidents in the state. Number 9. Peoria, Illinois. Peoria, Illinois has long grappled with systemic racial disparities, particularly affecting its black residents. In 2018, a study by 24/7 Wall Street ranked Peoria as the worst metropolitan area for black Americans, citing significant gaps in income, employment, and education between black and white residents. Black residents faced an unemployment rate nearly 4 times higher than that of white residents, and the median household income for black families was less than half that of white families. Employment discrimination has been a persistent issue in Peoria. In 2017, the city faced a federal lawsuit alleging that its enforcement of a chronic nuisance ordinance disproportionately targeted African American residents and survivors of domestic violence, leading to unwarranted evictions and exacerbating housing instability in marginalized communities. Efforts to address these disparities have included the establishment of the Peoria City and County Joint Commission on Racial Justice and Equity. This commission aims to identify and rectify systemic inequities across various sectors, including employment, housing, and the justice system. Number 8. St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis, Missouri has a long-standing history of racial tension and systemic inequality. In 2021, the state reported 194 hate crimes, the highest number ever recorded, surpassing the previous record of 167 in 1993. Of these, 119 were motivated by race, ethnicity, or ancestry, with 63 classified as anti-Black hate crime. Despite these alarming statistics, St. Louis reported only 9 hate crimes in 2021, a figure that raises concerns about underreporting. Given the city's history and demographic composition, this number appears disproportionately low compared to other jurisdictions in the state. Number 7. Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama holds a pivotal place in America's civil rights history. In the 1960s, it was one of the most segregated cities in the United States, earning the nickname Bombingham due to a series of racially motivated bombings targeting Black residents and civil rights activists. Between 1945 and 1963, over 50 bombings occurred without a single conviction, underscoring the city's climate of racial hostility. Despite progress, Birmingham continues to grapple with racial disparities and hate crimes. According to the FBI's 2023 hate crime report, there was a notable increase in incidents targeting Black, Jewish, and LGBTQ communities nationwide. While specific numbers for Birmingham are not detailed in the report, the city's history and ongoing challenges reflect broader national trends. Number 6. Hylia, Florida. Hylia, Florida is a city known for its vibrant community and cultural richness. Despite its diverse population, the city has not been immune to incidents of hate and bias. In 2023, Florida reported 311 hate crimes, marking a 36% increase from the previous year. Of these, 121 incidents, approximately 39%, were motivated by race, ethnicity, or ancestry. This uptick reflects a broader trend of rising hate crimes across the state. While specific data for Hylia is limited, notable incidents have occurred within the city. In 2021, a South Florida person was arrested after a racially charged incident at a store. Additionally, in 2022, a reproductive health facility in Hylia was vandalized with threatening messages. Number 5. Elmira, New York. Elmira, New York has a complex history regarding racial discrimination, particularly in housing and employment. In the mid-20th century, public housing policies in Elmira were marked by segregation. During the 1950s, white veterans were given preference for housing in complexes like Hoffman Plaza and Haythorne Court, while Black residents were largely confined to Jones Court. This led to significant disparities in access to quality housing. It wasn't until 1960 that efforts by the African American community led to the desegregation of public housing units in the city. Regarding hate crimes, New York State reported 334 incidents motivated by race, ethnicity, or ancestry in 2023. While specific data for Elmira is limited, the city has not been immune to such incidents. For instance, in 2023, the theft of flags from a local residence was investigated as a hate crime, highlighting ongoing concerns about bias-motivated actions in the community. Number 4. Miami, Florida. Miami, Florida is often portrayed as a vibrant and diverse city, but underneath that reputation are long-standing issues with racial tension, especially for Black residents. Miami's history includes redlining, police violence, and deeply segregated neighborhoods. Even today, Black communities in areas like Liberty City and Overtown report over-policing, underfunded services, and systemic neglect. In recent years, hate crimes targeting Black individuals have remained a concern. According to Florida's 2023 hate crimes report, 121 of the 311 reported incidents were motivated by race or ethnicity, and the majority of those targeted Black residents. In 2024, Miami law enforcement reported an increase in racially charged assaults and property damage in predominantly Black neighborhoods. Local activists say that the data doesn't reflect the full picture because many victims are hesitant to report crimes due to mistrust in the system. Number 3. Boston, Massachusetts. Boston, Massachusetts has a long-standing history of racial segregation and discrimination. In 2022, prejudice against race, ethnicity, or national origin was the most widely reported bias motivation in Massachusetts, accounting for 53.2% of hate crimes. In recent years, Boston has seen a resurgence of white supremacist activity. In February 2025, members of the white supremacist group rallied near the Massachusetts State House, carrying flags and chanting about white pride. This followed another incident where a group marched through downtown Boston and attacked a black man near the Boston Public Library. Boston's reputation for racism has been highlighted by prominent figures. Bill Russell, the late Boston Celtics legend, once described the city as a flea market of racism. In April 2024, a black women-led running group filed a federal lawsuit accusing the Boston Marathon organizers and Newton police of racial discrimination during the previous year's race. Number 2. Vidor. Vida, Texas has long been associated with racial exclusion, historically known as a sundown town where black individuals were unwelcome after dark. In recent years, the town has made efforts to confront this legacy. In 2020, a Black Lives Matter protest was met with hostility, highlighting ongoing racial tensions. However, in 2023, when members of the Aryan Freedom Network attempted to hold a demonstration, local residents actively opposed them, leading the group to leave the area. While some residents in recent years have tried to push for change, signs of deep-rooted prejudice continue to surface. In 2020, when a peaceful Black Lives Matter protest was organized in Vidor, it was met with hostility and heavy law enforcement presence. Though the protest remained non-violent, the tension was undeniable and served as a stark reminder that old attitudes hadn't disappeared. Number 1. Cordelane, Idaho. Cordelane, Idaho has a long-standing history of association with white supremacist groups, notably the Aryan Nations, which established a compound near the city in the 1970 CHs. This legacy has contributed to ongoing racial tensions and incidents of hate crimes in the area. In March 2024, members of the University of Utah women's basketball team were subjected to racial harassment while staying in Coeur d'Alene for the NCAA tournament. As the team walked to dinner, individuals in pickup trucks reportedly shouted racial slurs, including the N-word, and revved their engines aggressively. The team felt unsafe and subsequently relocated to a different hotel. Despite an investigation involving the FBI and local authorities, prosecutors declined to file hate crime charges, citing insufficient evidence of a direct threat or intent to harm under Idaho's malicious harassment law. In response to this and other incidents, the Coeur d'Alene City Council unanimously passed a hate crime ordinance in July 2024. The new law allows for additional misdemeanor charges if a crime is motivated by bias against a person's race, religion, gender identity, or other protected characteristics. Racism isn't just a collection of hateful words or violent acts. It's a system that shapes lives, limits opportunity, and wounds people in ways that often go unseen. For many living in these cities, the effects are daily and deeply personal. It means being followed in a store. It means having your home undervalued. It means being stopped more often, paid less, and protected less. And over time, these experiences chip away at a person's sense of safety, worth, and belonging. These isn't just about individual bias. It's about the systems that allow it to survive. And if we don't name it, we can't fix it. These stories matter because they show us that racism is not a thing of the past. It's happening right now in places that look peaceful on the surface. Acknowledging that is the first step toward creating a country that actually lives up to its promises. We can't change the past, but we can choose what kind of future we allow. That starts with awareness, and it grows with action. If you've made it this far, we want to hear from you. Have you experienced racism where you live? Drop your story in the comments. Share this video with someone who needs to see the truth, and hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the breakdowns that matter most.